Good evening and welcome to Face to Face. For the Newsfirst team, I'm Niresh Thambi. 6 months ago, Sri Lanka faced one of the worst environmental disasters in recent history. That was Cyclone Ditwa. But we managed to muddle through and things are recovering, although there's still a long way to go. But now we may be facing another environmental challenge, and it's up to all Sri Lankans to ensure that we don't face a disaster, and this time we can prepare. And I'm talking about El Nino, which has already started. It is, of course, a weather phenomenon which happens every few years. It started in the Pacific. That has already been measured and documented, and it usually affects weather patterns around the world, especially in tropical regions, which is Sri Lanka, of course. And to discuss our preparedness for such weather events and our preparedness in ensuring that they don't turn into disasters, I have with me Mr. Barath Arullsamy, who is the Vice President of the Tamil Progressive Alliance and co-chair of the Millennium Project. Good evening and welcome, Barath.
Good evening, Mr. Niresh. Thank you for having me here.
Good to have you after some time.
Yeah, I'm very happy to be here.
Right, Barath, the last time you were on the show, we discussed the response to Cyclone Ditwa and the many challenges, and hopefully a lot of those have been put right, although there is some way to go in many areas. But now we face this fresh challenge. Barath, the President last week summoned the heads of departments of across the country and told them to come up with plans to face the El Nino weather effect. And the effects could be prolonged drought in some areas or massive rain in other areas. We may get both of those. So this particularly affects our agriculture and our agri-exports. Now, Barath, you represent particularly the central province, although your party is all island. And in the central province, of course, you have everything from tea to vegetables to potatoes. There's a lot of agriculture in that province, and people are affected by all types of weather phenomena. So, Barath, what do we need to do to ensure that we are ready for El Nino?
Mr. Niresh, once again, it's a very important topic. I'm very thankful that you brought it up at a timely moment, and which is going to be a big challenge for Sri Lanka. It's already facing many challenges right now. Mr. Niresh, I wanted to, place this into three verticals. There is already a global challenge we are facing. As a result, we are facing a huge energy problem and also a fertilizer problem because of this global crisis, because of this entire Iran America narratives. Then again, the local, our own mismanagements, which has caused serious problems. That is the mismanagement of fuel and the so-called problem in this coal issues and energy production. That is also a problem. Third big issue, as you rightly pointed out, the expected El Nino. We all know, we are no strangers to El Nino effect because in the news every time I think Newsfirst also gives a kind of a comprehensive framework behind this. What is this El Nino? How the mitigations are done? But to understand that, normally a cycle which supports our monsoon are going to get affected. So the impact already had started. elements have been visible now, not only in European or other east region, but also in some parts of India and also in on our regions. So, however, there were two school of thought from meteorology department and weather department saying that it won't get an effect or it won't be a big effect on Sri Lanka. And there is another school of thought, no, unlike similar to India's, since we are in an Indian subcontinent, where India get affected, that there will be a little bit of impact on Sri Lanka's weather condition also. But however, whether on arguing and placing evidences whether it's going to affect or not, it is very important for us to, it's no harm in keeping ourselves prepared. Because in recent past, we were all our victims of recent cyclone Ditwa. We took it very lightly, it won't happen, it won't affect. Then how many hundreds and thousand lives and lakhs properties got damaged, and still although the impact happened 7 months ago, still people are suffering, still the reliefs have been not distributed properly. There are a lot of issues. So, I don't want to criticize and harp on that matter. I believe the government will mitigate these issues as quick as possible. We as a party also support the government to provide all the reliefs to the victims, but there are systematical errors which are still on happening in the ground level, that is not been addressed so far. Having said that, in this El Nino effect, Mr. Naresh, there are 4 major impacts Sri Lanka is going to face. One is our agriculture sector. In the agriculture sector, as you correctly said, our Yala season, like especially the paddy cultivation, which depends on rainfall, will largely get affected. The historically a large kind of a super El Nino, which was recorded in 1870s, I mean precisely 1876, 1878, where more than 3% of our population was destroyed. So, it was not muchly given thought on that time, but it was on fact historical records. And also I think in India itself nearly 5 to 10 million people lost their lives. And in 1976 there was an incident, and 89 there was an incident, and Sri Lanka's relatively in 2015, 2016, 2016 to 2018, there was a severe drought. This is also a part of El Nino effect which occurred in Sri Lanka. So, we are no strangers to El Nino's impact. So, already we have to, I think President, at least he had heard the calls of everyone and the experts, even in our opposition leader was raising concern in parliament. He named himself as, like sometimes people will call me as El Nino Sajit. So, in that kind of background, the president has taken an initiative to work on that. So, as I told you, 4 impacts. Our agriculture sector, both paddy and vegetable and export agriculture, especially tea industry, which is also a part of dependent on monsoons, will get affected. So, as a result, nearly 500,000 families directly get impacted by the this El Nino effect, like if it happens directly. And secondly, our power consumption, because we are nearly 30 to 40%, we are dependent on hydropower. So, that hydropower will drastically go down if the rainfall stops, or if there is another impact, if there will be a high rainfall and floods and others are also expected. So, this energy crisis also will come. And also third is if the serious drought happens in the northern region or some part of the regions, then there will be a huge shortage for drinking water. This we visibly saw in 2016, 2017. Also in past years and past year in 2023, 24 also, when there is a drought period, we saw how this not only farmer community but also urban community face a drinking water crisis. Fourth, then when there is a water crisis, there will be already a crisis like problems which affects with these cycles, whether it's drought, medicine or hygiene or this kind of diseases may occur. So, these are the four major areas we should be very focused on. And very importantly, we are now being more than though we had that vision of becoming a self-sufficient country in food production, but unfortunately we are heavily dependent on food imports. If these El Nino effects happen in the closest regions, whether it's India or Philippines or Cambodia, our imports of food rations and our important rations will get also affected. So, these things we have to very much keep in mind, and what are they as a government and what are a responsible citizen, what are we going to do? Are we just going to watch the news and talk about it, or just be silent about that, or are we going to do something now to safeguard us and our community and our country from this impact? We have to make sure, because already as a generation we have gone through war, we have gone through crisis, we have gone through Easter attack, we have gone through tsunami, everything we have seen. Now this El Nino is also coming into action, so we are no stranger to sustain shocks. But I believe that everyone who is watching this program will start some kind of an action, at least know about this El Nino and what are the impacts it will create on Sri Lankan atmosphere, and how our production will get affected. We have to be very, very cautious and vigilant.
Now, Barath, you are a person who is very much on the ground, especially in the central province. You are from the Kandy district, but you also work very much in the Nuwara district. And so you work with the plantation communities, with other types of farmers. So you understand their issues, their challenges, especially when they are faced with a disaster. Now, when it comes to preparing for something like this, and El Nino, I mean, we have in the past, before it was called El Nino, we just called it a drought year. You mentioned 1976, and yes, we knew there was a huge drought
yes.
That was compounded by the fact that the government at the time had banned all imports.
Exactly.
So the people were literally starving. That is seen in the health statistics. The WHO and the Ministry of Health, they show the stunting of growth of children during those years. So all that we know has happened from time to time. But this time, I think, the study of El Nino has advanced considerably. So this time it has been predicted and it was monitored, and the US Weather Service has declared that it has begun.
Yes.
And once it begins in the Pacific, the warming of the ocean and the air, then it will spread around the world. So we are seeing that happen. So therefore, forewarned should be forearmed.
Exactly.
We should, of course, we hope for the best, but we must prepare for the worst. If nothing happens, if we get our normal weather patterns, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean we shouldn't prepare.
Exactly.
We have to prepare.
Yes.
Now, Barath, you mentioned all these areas, and let's look at what needs to be done in each of these. and it's not just the government sector, it's private sector as well.
Exactly.
The institutions need to have their systems in order. The systems have to be tested and in place, because we can't just say the president has to do this and the president has to do that, and then opposition shouts in parliament saying that the ruling party didn't do this and so on. It's not about politicians. Political leadership has to be there, and the president has already given that leadership by drawing attention to this, to the coming El Nino effect. But at the departmental level, at the local government level, we need to have those preparations in place. And we know what may happen. You might have a drought. So we know the effects. As you said, we are no stranger to droughts.
Yes.
We are no stranger to floods. So, we have to be prepared for floods as well. So now all these effects, which, as you said, over the centuries, we know what happens, we have to prepare for. Now, in your opinion, is the apparatus, is it in working order? In the sense, if you take a Pradeshya Sabha, are they prepared to face something like this? I mean, any Pradeshya Sabha. Then, is the Met Department prepared? Probably yes. But what about Irrigation Department? Then the CEB. If we don't have enough hydropower because of drought, then we have to import, we depend more on coal power and diesel power. Is the CPC, the Petroleum Corporation, now prepared? Because it's not one department. They must all talk to each other and work things out. We can't have any surprises here. So we can't suddenly be told by the CPC, well, there's not enough water in the reservoirs, therefore, we have to import a lot more diesel, and therefore, the diesel bill is going up. The CEB will say the electricity tariff will go up, and it can't be a surprise. You can't suddenly have a 25% increase in the electricity tariff. These things have to be planned out. If this happens, this is the situation. But do we have that machinery? Are the departments talking to each other? Is it actually happening, or is it still in isolation where, a Pradeshya Sabha will say, oh, our area, yes, we are okay in our area, but are they talking to the other departments? Because that is a huge weak point in our system of governance, isn't it?
Mr. Dinesh, it's a very, very important point you raised. Whether are we working in silos? Are we working in a network? Mr. Dinesh, I'll give a very small example. Now, Hatton Urban Council is one of the, for us, Indian origin Tamils, or in the plantation sector, or in central province, the Hatton is seen as one of our capital kind of a place. Like, a lot of connections do happen there. But when you go now, due to this poor administration, it stinks, because the garbage disposal has become a big problem, the irrigation has become a big problem, the water supply has become a big problem. It's small population. Like comparatively to Colombo, it's a very small population. So, I'm just giving an example in the ground level.
But it's an important town. It is a junction. Exactly. The railway is running close by.
And even when you go to Shripada or Radhe, Nuvarelia or any places, this has become a hub. But managing that has become a big challenging task for a local authority. Why? There is no coordination between the entities, whether it's irrigation, whether it's garbage disposal, whether local government authority, government departments, everyone, like, it's not my responsibility. Why should I do? If we go in that same perspective in this crisis which we are going to face, will be a problem. Yet another example I just wanted to raise. Now, surprises you said. Now, we allowed vehicle imports. It was seen like in last year, budget surplused because of the tax revenue the vehicle imports generated. Now, we have put up a ceiling. We didn't impose ban on importing vehicle, but the threshold has been increased so far, where an average person now can't afford to buy a vehicle. Why I am saying this? Now we sometimes out of surprise we introduce something and we don't see or foresee what are the consequences will happen. So why we study about history, the basic concept of learning the history, it's not about by hearting anything or just giving a reference material. We learn about history to understand the history, to understand the present and forecast the future. So learn the history, understand the present, forecast the future. This is the history all about.
It is cause and effect.
Exactly. So we all know what historically happened when there is a drought season or El Nino, something happens. Now, normally even in the last super El Nino, there was a 2% between 1.5 to 2 Celsius increase was recorded. Now, which is expected now by NOAA and European Center for Weather Forecast is somewhere 2.5, which is more than a super El Nino. That is, I think in the human history, it is the highest number it's going to get recorded. So, in that impact, our readiness is one of the major factor. As you correctly pointed out, we can't put everything on the government. Government you do, super El Nino you do, everything you do, we can't put that burden on the government. So, first and foremost, the weather department need to be very, very open about the impact of this situation. They should educate the first vulnerable group which is going to get affected are the farmers, not only paddy farmers, but also the vegetable farmers. The vegetable farmers, since we are closely working with vegetable farmers also in the Nuvarli district, because of Ditwa, due to landslide and flood, most of the vegetable crops and production was drastically dropped. Still now, they can't recover the loss they have made, incurred in the last Ditwa effect.
And Sri Lanka is a net exporter of vegetables.
Yes.
We export to
Exactly.
the Middle East, to the Maldives, for their tourism industries and so on. So, when you don't have those exports, your
Revenue obviously will come,
foreign exchange is
obviously
dropping
come
and
down.
more pressure on the rupee.
Exactly.
And then we wonder why the rupee is falling.
You are very correct, spot on. And also our local consumption will also get affected. Now, due to, as I told you, there are 3 verticals which is going to affect Sri Lanka. Already because of this Hormuz problem, this fertilizer coming to our country has become more challenging. You can see in the news, like most of the areas, the farmers do protest. There is a mismanagement of fertilizers, and even though there are a lot of internal issues among the farmers, and this kind of natural hazards happen, it will further affect the farmer community.
Yes.
So, whether it is paddy farmer or vegetable farmer, they should be educated first.
Yes.
That is very, very important.
Yes. But my point with El Nino is, Barath, it's different. With the Iran crisis, well, you could have predicted it perhaps,
Yes.
but the whole world was taken
Exactly,
by
exactly.
surprise.
Yes, yes,
and
yes.
there's nothing we could do about it from here in Sri Lanka. Then with Cyclone Ditwa, it was a storm of a century, perhaps. So that the impact of that perhaps we could not predict. But this El Nino,
yes,
we are predicting it now, and
very sure
we are
about
talking about it
Yes.
months ahead.
Exactly.
So it's all about preparation.
Exactly. So, Mr. Naresh, as I was saying, now we can't allow our farmers just to look up the sky for expecting monsoon. or due to huge rainfall. There are two aspects. Either the southern region will get a huge rainfall, or the northern region will get a severe drought. This is what the forecast is all about. So, for we have to get prepared for both scenarios. So, and also we should encourage solar managed irrigation system and also drip irrigation system. So, now we met recently, our party leader and myself met Israeli ambassador also. So, there we requested to introduce modernized agriculture facilities in the plantation region, like especially for vegetable and home cultivation. So, they are very much looking forward to that. So, likewise we can get the expertise from private sector even, and introduce those kind of agriculture facilities through our agricultural authorities to the farmers, and government can give some kind of subsidies and kind of expert knowledge and kind of some kind of technical knowledge, so that the farmers can slightly transform to that kind of a production. Second, as I told you, we are heavy depend on food imports. Now I remember
Barath, let me stop you there, because we need to take a short commercial break. And with food imports, it's a very, very critical aspect. So we will come back to that. We'll go for a break now. Don't go away. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Face to Face. I am with Mr. Barath Arullsamy, and we are discussing the manner in which we should prepare for the El Nino effect. It may be months away, but we as a nation need to be prepared. Now, Barath, before the break, we started speaking about food security, and this is a very, very dicey thing. As you pointed out, we import a lot of our food items, our staple diet. Where do we get dal from? Overseas. Where do we get sugar from? I think about 80% of our sugar is from overseas, and Sri Lankans need lots of sugar, whether it is in cakes or New Year sweets or tea or whatever. So we consume far too much sugar, but that's another issue. Right. So we import a lot of our food. We are self-sufficient in certain things, like vegetables, which we export, and rice. Generally, we produce just about enough for ourselves, but this is a dicey situation, isn't it? Because what happens if perhaps El Nino does not hit us, but it hits, let's say, Cuba, where the world pretty much gets almost all its sugar from? Then you may find that there's a global shortage of sugar. So then what are we going to do? Are we prepared? Do we have any kind of fallback option? Should we be stocking up on something like that? I'm just using sugar as one example, but it could be dal, it could be anything else. Yes. And also remember that other countries are preparing as well. So if they get hit, for example, if India gets hit by El Nino, they may stop the exports of certain items which we are importing. So this is, it's not just about the farmers and the irrigation department and the Met department. It's about the treasury. It's about, everything, isn't it? Every department has to work on this.
Mr. Naresh, as I was saying, there is now, since you mentioned about others are preparing, during this West Bengal election, Prime Minister Modi in India,
that was just last month.
He suddenly made a statement that reduce consumption, buy less gold. So we all thought because of so I was thinking because of this dollar crisis and this fuel crisis, he is making such statement. But when it go deeply, he is giving a hint for El Nino preparedness. So if a largest consumption country like India is preparing a very rigid management or a kind of a restriction process, so we also need
protecting
to
the foreign exchange.
Exactly.
Perhaps we shouldn't allow those 700 million rupee vehicles to be imported, which
exactly.
a couple of people did.
So on that note, like I remember a few, political people, like, when this entire fuel crisis came, they were saying, we don't have problem, we import fuel from Singapore. Where does Singapore get? It get from Middle East. So they forgot that fundamental as well. So like, there will be some people, giving a complete different rhetoric. So through this program, we have to establish the real facts to the people. So
well, the thing is, Barath, when a crisis happens, there's a lot of finger pointing and blaming.
Exactly.
And then they say that black is white, like you said, that the oil comes from Singapore, knowing very well that Singapore has no oil. It is a trading post.
Exactly. So these kind of incidents do happen. So now if we don't manage right now, if we don't have a clear roadmap, Mr. Naresh, you remember we discussed about this when there is a shortcoming coming in, which happened in last year, especially the rice shortage. People started to, store rice in their mills or houses, bulking it or ordering fuel. This kind of a panic situation will happen. So Sri Lanka is no stranger for that. If you say something is going to get finished, they will go rush to that and they will make it disappear. So as a result, this situation will rise. All the now to be very frank, Mr. Naresh, according to the recent report, our poverty rate has increased to 26%. There are a lot of diseases are spreading across. When you go to the deep root cause of that, there are a lot of malnutrition among the people because of the poverty. Most of them are limiting their meals at least for 2 or 1. The consumption of nutrition goods have come down. So there's a huge problem, and I don't want that problem to be further fueled up with this the expected crisis which is going to come. That is what we need. All the sectors, not only the government, also the private sector, also all individual household should take a necessary management. So when you ask the question of what should they do, like if I am a person, how I am a concerned citizen, how am I should get prepared? One is all about manage your consumption. That is what we have to do. What are the essential ones, what are the needy ones? We have to really distinguish, as you correctly pointed out, by like importing 700 million worth of vehicle. That is not a essential one.
Not one of your friends, I believe.
no, not at it. So like so those kind of distinction should be made, and also as part of government and also private sector should invest more on reserves, whether we have enough reserves of pulses, rice, flour and other things as a reserve. When there is a severe crisis comes up, they should manage the entire population of our country. And very importantly, the diseases. Now already there is a skyrocketing amount is going for this dengue this recent weeks, and I think I saw in Newsfirst, I think if I am not mistaken, yesterday or day before, the highest number of dengue patients have been identified within a day. So these kind of diseases, which will be a byproduct of this kind of crisis, will also happen. So our health ministry and our households, individual households, should prepare for these kind of emergencies. That is second. We can just okay, just we'll also just spend another day. It's just another day. That perspective should be erased, and we should be very alerted on that. And as I told you, the irrigation system. Now, the private sector also should partake with the government to to enhance the agriculture sector. So now, when it comes to agriculture sector, Mr. Naresh, we are only talking about government's involvement. We don't talk about private sector's involvement. How India is successful, how some African countries in agriculture are successful, so how these Western countries in their mass production are successful. The private sector get involved with the government's regulations for agriculture products. Here, what the private sector I do see, in my, no offense, but I do see, with all due respect, they wanted to bring down the national production, and on private sector they wanted to increase the import. On private sectors importing here, it's not an issue, but also helping and enhancing the country's growth, especially in the agri sector, it's very essential. Now, using drone technology, digital technology, using AI to spot pin everywhere, and the production rate, there are a lot of technologies. I saw a recent documentary on dairy farming, they have used AI technology on each cows, which will identify the cow's pattern, their eating pattern, their milk production. So much of advancement are coming in. So I earnestly request the private sector also to incorporate such digital or kind of innovative sectors to our country also, which can empower our low level farmers as well. So then they will also have large inputs. So this is what a private sector can help the government and also the country to grow together, and also diversify the markets. Diversify the market in sense, like sometimes we over depend on someone or some countries or some companies. So now, say for an example, now Mr. Naresh, when it comes to again dairy sector, though we have all the environment, geography, the hard working workforce, everything is there. We allow only two major companies to import milk powder, and we also does not encourage much local milk production. There are, I think, 3 to 4 companies are involved in milk and byproducts, but we only allow two major companies to import milk powder. So these kind of attitudes will break that concept of market economy, which will lead this market economy into a crony capitalism, which is the bad part of capitalism. So that is what we are advocating. No, it should be a very, now even our party leader, myself, we all are for a market oriented economy. So then the private sector can bring a competitive market. People can choose from the to their will, which will suit them. So this kind of a diversification should happen immediately on various sectors, not only in agriculture, but also in a kind of innovative sector, consumption sector, many sectors we have to do. And also very importantly, the health sector should be very, very effective. And I saw, if I am not mistaken, the US government had helped some kind of an initiative to geotag these kind of weather problems, like recently through the Montana agreement also, which they are supportive, and they said that they can track the climatical condition and support our mitigation part. So these kind of technologies should be also brought in. And one more very important thing, lastly, Mr. Naresh, now this farmer community, when it comes to farmer community, it is coming to the plantation sector as well. Now, if there is a drought coming in, then the production of tea leaves will come down. If the workers pluck tea only, they will earn money. Then already they are in a very vulnerable situation. if this monsoon and others comes in, the people will get affected more. So, now we have one system of a welfare system called Aswasma. Aswasma has lot of inclusion errors. Those who deserve does not get the handouts from the government. Those who don't deserve, they get sometimes double pay also. So, I here the government and all the individuals who are in this governance should revamp this entire process and safeguard these vulnerable communities if we are facing a kind of this kind of a climatical challenge.
Right. So, several very crucial points that you made. And firstly, let me point out what you said about building up reserves of essential items. And this is something Sri Lanka never seems to have. We don't do reserves. Our system of government over several governments in the past has been let it all run out and then do emergency purchases, outside of tenders and then get the highest price, and people make billions of this. And the fact that this is completely treacherous to the whole country.
Exactly.
You are actually, you're doing more damage than a war when you do things like that.
True.
That
Very
doesn't
true.
seem to matter. But hopefully now with this government, this whole system of emergency purchases, I hope has gone out. So we know how much we use of everything from rice to dal to milk powder and everything, petroleum products. So we need to ensure that we have some stocks where, whatever can be stored.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Not everything can be, but
Yes.
whatever.
Right.
Sometimes like these dry rations and pulses.
Yes.
This should be.
But even things like, Barath, when it comes to oil, our problem with this Iran crisis was that we didn't have storage capacity. You can bring 10 oil tankers to the port of Colombo. Where is the oil going to be stored? Meanwhile, we have one of the world's best, largest storage facilities in Trincomalee, which was built in the late 1930s.
Yes.
We inherited that from the British.
Exactly.
One of the few good things one might argue we got from them.
From the British.
And what did we do? I think the CPC and LIUC use about 20 of those tanks. The rest are just rotting. And then we say we have no place to store. You don't have to have all 99 of them working. You can put another 15 or 20 into working order, and we will have storage capacity for at least 3 or 4 months. That's the logic of it. Of course, technically it will take a lot to get those tanks back up to proper working condition. But then you have to start at some point. So you can't just say, well, we can't use those right now. So we may have another oil crisis next year. Are we still going to say no storage capacity?
Exactly.
So just like that, I think with everything where you said we need to have the reserves, we need to ensure that that is done.
Yeah.
Not buy on emergency purchases at double the price.
Double the price.
Which there's a controversy over that happening
in the recent
with oil purchases.
The HSBC Bank CEO statement.
Yes. So the thing is, you can't blame this, say, on the president, and he's not the one buying the oil at that price. It is you have to understand that there are certain mafias within. We all know CPC, CEB, or all that.
On that point, Mr. Naresh, there are a lot of speculation, criticism against the government. saying that they have purchased in high prices. I'm not saying it is the fault of the government. It is the fault of the system. The system. This is where government should come in a iron fist and take some rigid, unpopular decisions. Because when you try to go and please everyone, then it is a problem. Now, this government, the people have given the mandate with the 2/3 majority, even including the local Pradesh Sabhas, to do that. I don't see any element stopping them to do that. So I strongly believe, even it is an unpopular decision, even the so-called some vested interest trade unions or political entities oppose that, the government should take very stern action. We as a responsible party, we are definitely supporting that. No second thought about that. But these kind of systematical error, end of the day, will go on the every single account of every single citizen of this country. You and I have to pay for the fault of these officials. So that is what then this system will turn against the present government as well. I don't want that to be happen to this government, which came with more majority of people's mandate. So this El Nino will be a big test, not only for us but also for the government, how we are going to manage this. If we are going to give an excuse after this entire issue comes, I must, as I told you, history has already given a lesson. The 1976 lesson, where a popular Srima government closing down this entire thing, the drought came up and the people starved and problem arised. These kind of situations are good lessons for a progressive government.
Yes, indeed. Decisive action is needed if we are to deal with the possible effects of El Nino. We hope it doesn't happen, that we don't have effects from El Nino, but that is wishful thinking, because somewhere in the world it's going to affect, and that may have a spillover effect on Sri Lanka. Right, decisive action is needed. And I'm afraid we are out of time. My thanks to Barath Arullsamy, Vice President of the Tamil Progressive Alliance. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Naresh.
Been a very fruitful discussion. And thank you to you at home for watching. And until next time, have a good evening.